Hey, hey, hey. It's the Chaos Queen here, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, and you are listening to Studio 2009.
Offer expires while you wait. Operators are standing by.
It's only 8 p.m.
That's what she said. Hello, welcome into our studio. You're now listening to Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I'm, of course, TFG and Mike, and as you heard, for our next Origins in Television, today I welcome Mr. Christopher Moose Morton. We're going to take him through his TV watching origins and more. Hello, sir. How are you?
Greetings and salutations, and get ready for a mind trip to a world of television.
Okay, Kermit. Kind of sounded like Kermit a little bit there. It's like, Twilight Zone Kermit. Twilight Zone Kermit. Oh, no.
I got a story about that later in the podcast.
Oh, boy. Well, considering I haven't watched it yet, but considering they brought back that special for the Muppets and supposedly they're going to be bringing it back full time. I don't know if that's true or not, if they're going to bring it back full time, but
no spoilers, but I will say it's fantastic. Seth Rogen knew the source material he was shooting with. He knew the characters. He knew the aspect and the feeling of the original Muppet Show, and he brought a very well placed show. And it had so much of the original Muppet Show in it that I just like it was another episode right at the end of it. So,
okay,
excellent job on their part. I mean, he's a great producer.
Yeah,
and so I give him thumbs up. It was a big task to bring up such a nostalgic IP, and he did well with it. So looking forward to more.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, here we go, folks. Origins in Television continues. This is actually the only second episode of this new series. Look, folks, a lot of crap happened in 2025. Again, you've probably heard this already. This episode 184 of the podcast, fits between 183 and 185. You're fitting between Jaws and a DeLorean. So, you know, you're either going to get bitten by a shark or you're going to make sure you don't ever lend one rich egomaniac a lot of narcotics.
And plutonium.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my God, it's the Libyans. Oh boy. So yeah, but we are recording this in 2026. All of the content you've heard up to this point probably was recorded over a year ago. All of the content you're probably going to hear sporadically between now and episode 200 probably was recorded last year or maybe a year and a half ago by the time you hear all the future content. I don't know. Anyway, 30 questions all about your TV watching habits. Did you grow up watching TV, and at what age do you first remember really noticing or falling in love with a television show?
Never watched TV. I was Amish, so I never get to watch TV. Sorry, you pointed that out. That would be a bad answer to a first question, so
well, you know what? The Chaos Queen would say that would be a really horrible first question. She's like, why would you have them on the show if they didn't watch TV?
I grew up with TV. It wasn't the educational source where you dropped your kid and walked away. My parents were active. I was a very active kid outdoors. You know, I grew up in the streets of Las Vegas, Nevada, to a younger age, so middle school before I moved to Oregon. So I dealt with a lot of, outdoor stuff. Now, did I watch TV? Absolutely. I do. There's a lot of shows I remember growing up watching with my sister, my father, my mother, my siblings, all in our little trailer. So we were active. There was a lot of shows that we watched. I mean, from, Voltron after school, and then my dad would be home to watch that with me because right after that, MASH was on. So we watched MASH together. So I get to watch both of those 5 days a week. That was our big thing.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. So, were there like allotments of TV? Because the second question actually is, how much TV were you allowed to watch? Did your parents sit you in? Well, you already answered this part. Did your parents sit you in front of the tube to distract you a lot? But basically, you said no to that part. But were there specific allotments of time, like you could only watch it from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then, you got to do your homework, or, you got to get outside, kid, and grow some hair on your chest or something. I don't know. Whatever.
I was not regulated. Both my parents worked heavily. They're in the gaming industry, and they ran casinos. So they were busy at work, and my sister and I would re-regulate our time. We never were just tied to the TV because we had other activities. But it was the mindset of the culture of the kids growing up in late 70s, early 80s, that wasn't your focal point. And TV usually was a night thing you did with the family, not an all-day thing. So it was definitely a change. I mean, we didn't see TV being the on point of drop your kid and walk away until I'd say more into the 90s when the big TV when you were away from the big three and you're into all these other networks, and the network television kind of was pushed into the backdrop as, online television was becoming more the prevalent motion, like Cartoon Network, all these other, networks that were popping up besides the big three.
Boy, you West Coasters really had it different than us East Coasters, because in the 80s, every single soap opera during daytime soaps, if school wasn't in session and you were at home, or if it was a snow day in Massachusetts and you were at your grandmother's house like I was, it was Days of Our Lives, As the World Turns, Guiding Light, One Life to Live, all As the World Turns, All My like that was like plop your kid, especially at grandma's house, because grandma ain't doing nothing. I mean, like, if I stepped one toe outside, where you going, Mikey? What you doing, Mikey? What kids are you hanging out with, Mike? Like, oh my God, Grandma, I just stepped outside to get the mail for you. Like, I ain't going anywhere, Grandma.
I didn't have to worry about that as much. My grandparents were gone before I came around.
Okay,
I do remember Dallas being a big thing my mom would watch.
Oh my God.
Because that was one of the TV shows she absolutely loved.
I had to sneak Dallas, oh God. It took me forever to get my mom to agree to let me. I think it wasn't until I was 11 years old. It took me 4 years. It took me from 91, 90, 89, 80, from 88 to 91. It took me up until tonight on Dallas. Will JR live or will he die? Literally, it took me till. Yep. It took me like I would sneak and I would go over to friends' houses, and the friends, my buddy's mom, Jonathan Bond's mom, would let Debbie Bond she would let me watch it and whatever else. But like, and it wasn't like my mom was like, oh my God, you can't watch. But I don't know, for some odd reason, Dallas was the thing that literally the only thing I watched was the theme song. And by the end of the theme song, the end of the opening credits of Dallas, I was in bed for the night. And it was a Friday. It's not like I had school the next day. It was Friday night. Like, what the hell, Ma? All right. What? Okay. Speaking of Dallas, air quotes here. And I'm saying air quotes because I don't mean adult as in chicken wah wah. I mean adult as in not a cartoon, not Sesame Street. What was the first adult show you remember watching or falling in love with?
Honestly, Magnum PI. That was one my dad loved. That's the one I remember catching on to at the early age. I mean, you're dealing with early, late 70s, early 80s. And that was the one he would always watch.
Right.
And I remember that one specifically, and I'm balancing it out with MASH, because I'll talk more about MASH because what it set for me in the future of what I like to watch. But I just remember Magnum PI because that was, again, the storylines, the music, the idea of driving the cool cars and being a private eye for a rich guy, that was just the dreamy job. It's like, oh, that's so awesome. And come on, it's Tom Selleck. And he still looks as good now than he did back then. So it's like, wow, that's something that would be achieved for.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any favorite TV characters when you were growing up? You just mentioned Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck's Magnum PI? Do you have any others?
Growing up, I did. And honestly, this is where it comes into MASH, because MASH is still one of my number one shows of all time. It spans, it ran from 72 to 83. It ran so long over a 4-year technical war. And it was filled with characters that gave different perspective of human culture. 2 of them in that show were my focus of the 2, which will be Colonel Potter, which was played by Harry Morgan. Phenomenal for such a large character. And he knew what he had to do. I mean, the guy was stern. He was passionate, but yet he was authoritative. And the other one was Klinger. Now, this is later Klinger, not earlier Klinger, Jimmy Favre, because I like the later Klinger who played the I can get you what you need. Just tell me, and I know who to contact. He was the go-getter. He was the one that knew everybody. I liked those 2 personalities between the 2, and that's how I model myself today, even as a manager. I model that background balance in IT is I'm the authoritative type because I know my job, I know my role, but yet you need something, I'm the guy to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. Were you loyal or partial to specific TV networks when you were a kid? How about now as an adult?
No, not really. We phased that out. I mean, if you look at any generation younger than us, TV networks are nothing because we're all by the larger scheme of the corporations. So I can't say that I didn't care what broadcast company did MASH or Magnum PI or whatever. It was just on TV. Besides Monday Night Football, then we were all cheering for that. So, but the aspect of being dedicated to the big 3 versus all these others, granted, in the scheme of things, you want to get down to it. Even though there are other channels, they're all controlled by a larger corporation, which pretty much spans a multitude of networks. So,
yeah.
But, for the part, no. I never developed that loyalty to one of the television brands over any other.
Like, for me, like where that question comes into, it's not about the programming, because you're absolutely right. It's not about the act. It's not like, okay, Knight Rider was on NBC, whatever. ABC had TGIF and CBS had all this other stuff. Whatever. It isn't about that. Where this question kind of comes into me for is like, it's after the local news. It's the national news stuff. So in the 80s, we had Brokaw, Rather, and Jennings.
Yep.
For the national news programs. So that's really where this one comes into me. And for me, I was also loyal to Jennings over the other 2, because I feel like Jennings always had the most impartial reporting out of the 3 of them. Because he was Canadian, he didn't care. Like he cared about the stories. But like he had no. There, like you look at NBC, you look at CBS. They're one or the other, and I'm not trying to get political here. I'm just stating a fact. NBC is one side, CBS is the other side. I'm not trying to go whatever, but I'm just saying we all know what side is what side. But in the 80s, I just looked at Jennings as he's there to report the story. Maybe once in a while he would give his personal opinion, but his personal opinion, as I remember it as a child of the 80s, was not so, oh my God, it's hanging off a cliff, as the other 2 were. The other 2 were way, way too, I don't know. But yeah, no. That's how I always viewed that question as far as loyalty to the networks. It wasn't about the actual shows that were on them.
Oh, true, absolutely. I mean, again, different culture.
Exactly, different culture, different time. Yeah, it was before the. Yeah, it was before the streaming stuff and everything else. Speaking of streaming stuff, when streaming came along, did you resist it at first? What was the first streaming show that drew you in?
Honestly, for early days, I was in college. I mean, we're going into the 90s. I ran bulletin boards back in the day, so we downloaded files that were like short skits and all that were really cool.
Yep.
But when it comes to early stuff made on the internet that was not networked but more into mainstream, one of the shows that I absolutely fell in love with was The Undergrads by Pete Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're going to be coming across these one season kind of shows, but it was one of those earlys that you could see on the network and people shared it. And it was really popular, but it came right at a time when there was a crunch of quick animation and they dropped a lot. So it was one of those that got sacrificed by, it came a little bit before its time, kind of like Clone High and a few others. But it was great. It was one of the first shows I got to, you get online, you could look at episodes online, you could see it. And I thought it was well done. The platform was there. And as cable came into play and all these other networks were coming into play, we have the birth of the internet just about the same time. So you're seeing this juncture between getting into cable and getting on these channels versus getting online and seeing the stuff online. We didn't quite have the technology yet to stream constantly. You would have download chunks, and it was slow.
Yeah.
Versus cable. I mean, I had old dial-up modems that were 14.4 baud, and we're like, yeah. So on my old Commodore 64.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one of the early shows that I liked. It was just the push of that medium was a good foundational start to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you still watch broadcast TV or cable TV? Why or why not?
In that aspect, straightly, like I'm waiting for the episode to drop. Kind of no. But lately, yes. But I stream it through, of course, the apps.
Yeah.
Two shows that I picked up. Normally, I don't care about it. When the show comes out, I'm the Netflix generation. Drop the season, I'll find time to binge it.
Yeah.
Episodic shows, two of them, I've come to the point where I'll watch it weekly because I've come to the point I want to. And that's Academy, that I absolutely love, and The Pit, which is, if you haven't seen either one of those, if you're a Star Trek sci-fi fan, The Academy is fantastic, and it does great for the Star Trek realm. I know there's haters out there, but they've done a good job writing for the history of Star Trek. The Pit, which is kind of a second life of the old ER TV series that I did love at the time. I watched it religiously. That was one of those shows I did catch on a weekly basis.
Right.
But it's kind of reiteration of that, just changed to a work shift, which was a 15-hour or 12-hour work shift, and every episode is 1 hour. It's kept kind of in real time, kind of like 24.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
But it's well done, well written. Yeah. Any doctor watches it. I watched a couple of doctors review, like Dr. Mike, who does YouTube.
Yep.
Really, they do a great job representing what a ER is in the inner city. And Nolan Wyatt wrote this. He stars in it. He's from ER. I mean, he was a young doctor in ER from episode 1, and he ends as head of the ER at the end of the series. This is kind of like his character in that, just griddled. He's been down the road. He's burnt. But he's teaching new students to be the new doctors, to care about their patient and move on. 2 shows, weekly comes out, and I'm all right with that. It doesn't bother me. I know they come out Thursday. That one actually is weird because it comes out Thursday, 6 p.m. Then you can start streaming it. So I've kind of gotten back into that. I mean, most cases, I just stream what I need.
Yeah. I both love and hate Netflix for what they got us into with look here's it all. Here, all of it. You can have it all. Whether it's 8 episodes, whether it's 13 episodes, whether it's 26 episodes, you can have it all. You can do it all on your own time. They did that to us for the longest friggin' time, and it got me into the point of, oh, look, I can do this on my own time whenever I want. And I've had that mindset for the last 15 fucking years, and I will have that mindset for the next 25 fucking years. I'm 46 now. 25 years from now, I'll be 40, old, 60, old, yes, old, 60 something. And I can't, like, there's only one show that I'm currently doing the whole, okay, fine, I'll wait a week. But every other show, I'm like, I don't care about you. You aren't good enough to me to wait for you. Yeah. Or no. That's not what it is. You aren't good enough for me to watch you on a weekly basis. You like, I can wait for you. You're not, you ain't like High Potential on ABC is the only show that I will wait a week for and watch it when it hits Hulu the next day kind of thing. Everything else, I'm like, I can wait and find you 10 years after you're off air.
Catch up then. And I hate you went to like 6 episodes for a season. I think that's garbage. I'm all right with a 10. I mean, back in the day, it was 25, 30 episodes in a season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
1 hour episodes, 10, that's 10 hours of content they need to build up to tell a story. That works. It works well.
That works, yeah.
So you see a lot of people like The Landman, who's a great series. It's a Paramount Plus. Absolutely another one that I caught episodically because I love the people. I love the actor. I love the storyline. It's not one that's rehashed or retold over and over and over again. But here we go with 10 episodes. They can tell a full story by the end of the season. That is okay. It's a start. It's a height to the story, the big thing they have to overcome, and there's an ending with a small cliffhanger, or if the series ends, a nice finale that wraps up the story. Ends. Well done. 6 episodes, not going to get there. It's too short.
No.
And that's not a season. I know they tried to do like 2 episodes at a time, and that format actually worked well in. It's not a TV show; it's a game, but it pretty much is, which is the one Aaron Paul just put out.
Oh God, I don't even know off the top of my head.
I know. I was just looking at it the other day. But it's a game that basically is a TV show, and it's a dispatch office, and you're dispatching heroes. Like dispatch.
Dispatch, yeah.
And that was the first attempt. They took a game and it made it from a TV series really into the game itself. So you're not really playing very much in it. There's not a lot of movement. You're making decisions that change the story's outcome. So you're kind of a producer.
Gotcha.
And it's well done because they had 10 episodes, which is 10 game sessions you had to play, and you told a story. And really that's what it comes down to. Just tell the story. Tell something worthwhile. Give it purpose. Care about the characters within the first few episodes, but move the story along. And I'll tell you, we're going to come across one that that I hated. And I'm going to let this say, but there is a show that I absolutely hated, and I'll give you great reasons why.
Okay.
Because I know that's a question coming down the pike.
Yep. Question 8 is a question that, so everybody usually asks me when I offer out any of the, hey, would you like to be on any of the origins, blah, blah, blah. They'll say, oh, can I see the question list? And I'm like, that's why I send I forgot that with this new format, with the origins and there is one question I'm supposed to send out, and that is question 8, because you were so I didn't do my prep correctly, and we might have a problem here. But can you name your personal top 10 shows of all time? Go,
you son of a gun! Okay, so I did think about this because I knew it was going to come down. I listened to the other show.
Okay, good.
And I'm going to go over this top 10. Now, I'm not going to go with the regulars that are obvious.
Right. Yeah.
Firefly, Scrubs, all these geek out. We know what we have. Here's 10 that had impacts in the genre that they were a part of. That means a lot, not to me, but others. So on that list, I will top off in the bottom, BoJack Horseman. Animation was fantastic. It was rough. It was gritty. They walked in there with such a craziness of a storyline. Will Arnett, absolutely wonderful. And the voice acting, and of course, Aaron Paul's in that one too.
Yeah, so good.
Well, and my daughter and I watched it, and it's like other shows that had this, at the end of the episode, there was a lesson if you listen to the episode. And one of the best episodes in BoJack Horseman, there was no speaking at all until the very, very end, where he throws out a profanity.
Shit.
the whole idea of the show, it was great. So that would be at the bottom of those top 10. Moving up from there, I would say Band of Brothers. World War, it came in 2001. World War II, gritty, great special effects, but told a great story about what it was like on the front lines during World War II. So absolutely wonderful if anyone wants to catch it. Next was more current, and I only got to watch it because I was with my friends. I don't do Apple TV, but this has great impact on me. It was For All Mankind. Started in 2019. It's still going on today. It's going to be one of the last seasons. Alternative history of the United States, where we did not make it to the moon first, the Russians did. And it sets off this this race. And it's great because the episode starts and you hear all the history, and as it goes through, things change in the history. And there's little news reports where, like, JFK doesn't get shot. So now you're dealing with this, or other people got shot, like the Pope, and this changed the religion, this changed that. And by the end of the first episode, they do, between seasons, about a 10-year jump. So you see NASA grow into this profitable corporation because they make leaps and bounds to get to the moon, to get a moon base, to beat the Russians, and then the Chinese are involved. And then the North Koreans push for it, or the Koreans push for it. And then there's a push to Mars. But our technology by the 80s, we have electric vehicles. Because we've pushed that technology because we were pushing Russia to get better. Great writing, amazing acting, or from all the characters that are in it, but be on anyone's top 10 for sure. Next, we go into Babylon 5 from 93 to 98. That was a absolutely wonderful show for political intrigue, how our own personal biases would react into other races. And if they had to be put together to work together, how some races, you enslaved us for 100 years. What do you think we're going to do? Go for peace every time now? No, you got a lot of hatred there that you have to overcome. And they have a great storyline. It's one of those, they flushed it really well over the seasons it was running. Next, it was a toss-up between Battlestar Galactica, the new one, or Caprica. And I went with Caprica on that one because Caprica ran in 2010. It was a predecessor of the Battlestar Galactica, the new version of it. And even though the new one was wonderful, I really liked it, except for like the mid seasons, which was really stupid, and they got stranded on a planet. I thought it ended well, a lot better than Battlestar Galactica 1984. And they brought into Caprica, which is the predecessor to that, of why the Cylons became sentient. And the way they became sentient is what we're dealing with today with AI. And it was such a telling story back then to where we're at now. And it's really scary. We're on the cusp of creating Cylons the way they are. So, good show to watch. Then we cut back to a little bit older, but very nerdy IT Crowd. Very well done for British comedy. Lot of great actors in that one. Richard Holiday, which people have seen. Graham Baker or Barker. Again, it was a very well sitcom comedy. And see, this is where the British call black comedy because it's really dark and it's slapstick. But if you want to see a varying range of acting, great show to watch. Moving up the list, we're moving into Warehouse 13. And I had to merge Eureka into this, only because they're kind of one and the same universe, and they overlap themselves very well. But the show was, when it pushed the boundaries of science, they gave us those really weird and outstretched science ideas to make them as real as possible. And Joe Morton's in there was my favorite character. I absolutely loved him being the town, fix-it-all man. But he wasn't super important to run the big corporation. He could do everything. He knew everything. Great story for Eureka. And then in Warehouse 13 became that premise of, what if all these items had some kind of power we had to control? And it had a great rich history because there's 12 other warehouses. Where do they go? And the ending did wrap up well. But it's a great story because it had little story arcs in each episode that told some actual factual history about an item and a person. So you actually get a little bit of history. I mean, it ran from 2009 to 2014, 15 for Warehouse 13. I did get to meet Eddie McClintock and got a long sit down and talk with him for quite some time. Wonderful actor. I love it. And we got a sting for him for Indie Podcasts when we could do that at Comic-Con. So
nice.
Second up from the top, Voltron. And that is Lion Force from 84, 85. I grew up loving the Voltron Lions. And I will give a shout out to Defenders, which ran from 2016 to 2018. I thought they did a great job. A little shaky in the middle, like most series, but they ended it well because they lead right into Voltron Vehicle Force in the end of that series. And I wish they would have continued it because I wasn't a vehicle person, but I would like to see what they could have done with it. But original Voltron, I grew up with it. That was the idea. These great, fantastic lions, ordinary people got to control them, and they defended the universe, and it was just great. Now, the reuse, now I look back at it and rewatch it, and like, God, they use that same building Voltron so much. They got a lot of money used out of it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they used it so much. It's still so fucking cool.
It is, absolutely. And of course, number one, as I mentioned before, MASH. It's just a well-done show. I regret the fact I never got to meet any of the people, even though one of them lived on the coast of Oregon, David Ogden Spears. Wonderful voice actor. He's a great person, but he passed before I could meet him. And I know some of them were doing Pittsburgh SteelCon, and I was really trying to make plans to go to see him, but we lost Loretta Swift early last year. There's not many left of that cast, but Ellen Alden is still around, Jimmy Farr is still around, Gary Burghoff. I'd love to see these people. But again, I grew up watching MASH. I grew up the lessons of MASH, of the realism of what war is, the consequences of before and after war. After MASH, that never existed. We refused that was ever filmed. But the show MASH, loved it. Top of the line. If you had to watch something, it's a great watch today. You can sit down and watch them. It's not out of practice when it comes to storylines and what it represents.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say David passed away as well?
Yeah, he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, he was living in Coos Bay, Oregon, I believe. No, Brookings. He was in Brookings, Oregon. He lived out there.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Jumba is gone?
Yeah, that's why he wasn't in the new movie. That's why they had to get a different voice, because he had passed away.
Oh, man. Damn it.
A lot of people passed. Loretta was the last one of the main cast that passed away. Just passed. I followed her and her Facebook, her Instagram. I mean, she did a lot of promoting, and she was on Alan Alda's podcast he has going on right now a couple of times. So. But yeah, that
stinks.
I was sad for that one.
Yeah, that so stinks. Oh boy. All right. So who are some of your favorite TV writers and why?
Oh, we're going to go right into MASH because there was so many writers in that series. And what's nice is that was one of the series where you saw a lot of the actors like Alan Alda, I think Wayne Rogers, Mike Farrell. They all wrote episodes in that.
Yeah.
And in fact, Alan Alda directed several on top of that.
Yep.
So that was some of the early writers that I knew of on TV shows that I thought were really interesting in writing and producing. And then from there, you go into, honestly, I jump into the late 80s, which became Star Trek Next Generation. And then you realize how many of those actors have become, Jonathan Frakes has become a writer.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan Frakes is amazing.
Yeah. But they've all dabbled in episodes where they've gotten their input. So that's another great show that came in there. It's usually on everyone's list. That's why it wasn't on mine. Trust me. But it was a great idea that these actors who knew the parts and knew the IP really dove themselves into it more by writing. And even afterwards, they wrote other stuff. They're produced on Broadway. So it's good to see that aspect. But those are some of the actors that I followed that became writers that I appreciate. Honestly, I don't look at a lot of the writers beyond that. I mean, there's a lot that I've come across with BoJack Horseman, which had several writers composed in that one. And Will Arnett was a writer, I believe, for that for several episodes. I think Aaron Paul took some strokes, and Allison Brie also took strokes on writing in that one too. I believe. Can't say all of it, but I know they were involved with a lot of it because I know a lot of them were executive producers as well. So they got into that party. So they carried a lot of hats in that. But that was another show that was well done because the actors got involved with the creation of the show.
Yeah. What defines a good story to you?
A good story gives you the ability to care about the characters involved with the story and really invest in how it's going to go, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes a bad ending is a good way to go. It was expected. It's the way it had to resolve. And a good writer will write it to where you can walk away going, that sucks. I didn't like it, but it's all right because we move forward from that point on. Deep Space Nine was one that did, I thought, really well. Dropping Cisco, just disappearing for the profits. And which is great because, by the way, the recent Academy episode features all about Cisco and what happened to him, how he was a figure. I mean, you're dealing with so many hundreds of years later, and the idea of him becoming this figure. But when they wrote the show that way, it's like, wow, that's harsh. He's not getting his happy ending. He has a wife, he has a kid, or two kids. One was on the way.
Yeah.
The prophets took him, and the aspect of the people were shocked by it. It wasn't a happy ending, but it didn't have to be, and that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's the importance of a story. I mean, give it to the point, unlike all other TV shows that can't give you to give a crap about the characters, and we're going to talk about that show as well. It's the same one. But the idea is that you've got to get invested. You got to get them a reason why these people matter. And that's the downside of short 30-minute shows because it takes seasons. I mean, you have to give a show a couple of episodes to really get invested. Academy took, I'd say, 3 episodes to really start liking the characters. And now I'm more into it. The Pit didn't need it because as much as you got good screen time with the characters, those characters built up quickly because they had time to do small flush outs of the characters. But you had one central character to build from that you already knew a history to. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. What does this story have to draw you in? So you watch the first couple of episodes. What does all of that story have to keep you watching?
It has to have me a reason to want to see the next step in the evolution of the story, as in either character development or a character flaw developing. I want to see why the character's doing what they're doing, how they plan to try to resolve it. I'm using newer shows, by the way, because it's more fresh in my mind.
Right.
Landman was a great build on that kind of premise. Because we have a character that was, it's done by Billy Bob Thornton. You have big actors in this one: Debbie Moore, John Hamm, Andy Garcia. There's people there, and you're seeing the fault of the character and the trials that they had to go through. And at the end of each episode, there is something just doesn't quite go their way, and they got to deal with that and not push it off and like kick a can down the road scenario. They're going to deal with it, and they're going to deal with the consequences that come with it, because it may not be a good thing to have to deal with or a thing that's right to do, but it's a thing they had to do. It's well written. It got me engaged to the next episode, and it got me engaged to the next season. Now, there's only 2 seasons of it, and I don't think they might be coming back for a third. They ended it on a really good note. So it's not like a big cliffhanger, but because they can end it now, and I'm all right with it. It's like, hey, good ending.
Very cool.
But it's a development. You tell a story from start to finish. BoJack Horseman there's another one. It's animated, but it was, when you're done at the end of the story, it's good. Another animation one I'll have to admit is She-Ra. I liked, even though it was a little too corny at times, when you get down to it, the story of She-Ra in the new run of it, from the beginning to the very end, told a story. And you knew where it was kind of going at the beginning, but they wrap it up well at the end, so you can walk away from that story and go, hey, that was a good story. And I'll add another video game on that, was Stranger Than Life. That is a video game. Another one there's a little more action to that. It's an early version, really bad graphics, but they put all their money into a storyline. And when I was done playing that, and your decisions make a big decision at the end of the game.
Right.
And when it's done, your story is done. You've completed that story. Again, I'm a guy who was on the stage. I'm a thespian. I spent many years on the stage in high school. Even after high school, I was on the Shakespeare Festival. I did their stage. I got to be a part of a lot of big name plays and stories. So that story is important. I want people to walk away at the end of something, hey, that was great, or hey, that was bad, but wow, what a story.
Yeah.
And these are things that told that story. Stranger Life, once it was done, I installed the game. I didn't want to know the other ending. That was my story. My journey, like in the book, is complete. And books have the same premise when I read them, no different than TV shows, is you got to get me invested on the first character to make me want to read more. The Dragon Prince is another great one. Animation, good tie-up. Right from the beginning, you care about the princes, and you care about what they have to go through to get to the journey's end. And it's still in production today, but again, it's a good story, and it grabs an attention. They didn't have to tell a ton of backstory, which kills a lot of TV shows, because they have to tell so much backstory to get the character to be believable or even likable. Then you ruin the pacing of the show.
Yeah.
And again, that does in another show that I absolutely hate.
Who are some of your favorite TV actors and actresses?
Boy, I've already mentioned most of them. I mean, from MASH and the others, but more recently, Billy Bob Thornton. Absolutely is the way he does his characters. Sam Elliott, when he was on the ranch, and most of his shows, like from the Yellowstone series and all that. Sam Elliott, phenomenal actor. He's on Landman, by the way, as the father. Absolutely glorious production, or actor of a character, of an old character who's going through the end stage of his life. One of the best lines is, he's in a nursing home. He saw a guy who had Alzheimer's, but he smiled and he was happy every day because he didn't remember he was dying. As his curse is, he has a sharp mind but a failing body, and he has to watch it rot, knowing farewell where he was ending up. And that was just, and he delivers it with just such pizzazz. Top of the line actor. Nearly everyone from Star Trek Next Generation, because they've gone into so many series. Okay, Jonathan Frakes, honestly, is one of my favorites. Right after Star Trek, he went into the television series Gargoyles, the animation series. And that's another one that's you know, people will always say I didn't have it on my list because it's one of the people usually bring up, but I will say amazing. There's a series that had a great start, had a great story, great end until the last season.
Yeah.
And then they had
that third season was a little sketchy.
It was. Well, most of the actors had pulled off because they thought they were going to get canceled, and they pulled in people that didn't know the IP. Now, Dark Horse has tried to redeem it by putting out a new comic series that doesn't really take in that last season. Yeah. And they're doing well with it. It's a great comic series. If you catch it, it's just gargoyles, but it kind of picks off where season 2 ended, which is really well.
Yeah, that and which is something we have to do over on the pull bag still, which I have plans for this year. That and they also, I'm assuming it's Dark Horse. I haven't really looked at it yet, but I've been downloading the first 2 issues at least. They're doing Gargoyles X Darkwing Duck. It just started.
I think I have the order for the first episode. We need Matt, my roommate here. He is the comic guy for the podcast.
Yeah,
he's we'll do into that.
Oh yeah. We'll do that eventually. But yeah. All right. Is there a criminally underrated show that you think everyone needs to watch?
Criminally underrated show that everyone should watch. I threw a lot of that in my top 10 because those are shows that people probably didn't watch. I would push them toward Fringe. Fringe from 2009 to 2013. Come on. It was such a well done show that people, they didn't carry it on as much as they should have because it was an amazing show with just great actors. I mean, John Noble in that was flipping great. Yeah. To be that borderline, craziness. Now, all the other people in there, Anna, Joshua, Lance Riddick, I mean, come on, Lance Riddick, we love them.
Yep.
Played great characters. But if you wanted a show that touched on the fringe of reality, that gave you the touch of a little bit of Twilight Zone mixed in with it, this is a good show to watch. It was intriguing. It caught the attention. It had overlying story arcs, but they had episodics of different scenarios going on. But it touched into the overlying to a season story arc as well as a series over arc. So it hit on the markers on a lot of good spots when it comes to writing, when it comes to directing. I mean, it was created by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
and Alex Kurtzman, and but the showrunners themselves ran that series. Season 2 got a little shaky on it, but they were kind of iffy on if they're going to get the money. And I guess I also say it's also kind of related to the X-Files in that sense as well.
True,
but it brought in a lot. So if you're looking for one of those shows that you don't hear as much as about, Fringe had 5 seasons, 100 or so episodes. Well worth the binge watch.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the one series cancellation that just destroyed you?
Do we want to just go Firefly and just be like, oh no, it sucks? There was a lot that I didn't like, and I'll go back to one of the ones I've already talked about because I liked it. Was when animation came out in the undergrads. I thought Pete Williams had a foundation with Alan Park, Richard Bensley, Susan Quinn, and Jane Yeo.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian actors, they're in that aspect because I think some of them did Second City TV. But that was, for early animation, it was a good little show with aspects of this is what college life is like. And they hit the nail on the head for it. And it was sad they only went 1 season, and the producers killed it because they just didn't see what was going anywhere. And it became a cult classic. And there's a big following. And Pete Williams has been wanting to bring it back in some variety, but just can't get the backers up. But it was one of those sacrifices from the early 2000s that I thought it was a hard hit one. I hated to see it end because they couldn't tell a good story. I mean, there's a lot of series that ended, like Warehouse 13 and all that I didn't want to end, but at least they told the story at the end of it. But Undergrads was unfortunately cut before its time.
Jeez, looks like someone poked the anthill with a stick.
Yeah, last week of school, everyone's bugging out. Check it out. Walk of Shame.
The walk of what?
Witness. The Walk of Shame is particularly prevalent during Screw Week. That unique time of the year when the collegian finally puts the moves on their close friend of the opposite sex before summer break.
The walk of shamer can easily be spotted, often wearing clothing of the person they just hooked up with.
Dude, those look like your clothes.
Nah.
Oh, I'm all out of Nitz's hats, lady. Take Nitz's boxer shorts.
What is your favorite run or story arc within a series? So let's just say insert whatever show name here. It has, let's say, 5 or 6 or 7 seasons. What is your favorite story arc within that show?
So many I've already talked about. We're going to one that I haven't talked about, and it's all in sci-fi. Absolutely loved was Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
It was at first they took the first season trying to build up the characters. I mean, they had nostalgia they had to pull off. It was a tough time because you're in the Star Trek community that saw the loss of a Next Generation. That was, I didn't say lose, they kind of moved into movies. So they had to carry on without bringing cast over yet. As we all know, several characters did eventually move over or showed guest appearances on Deep Space Nine. But they built a story that they told that you heard briefs about it in Next Generation, where Generation did more the traditional episodic. They didn't have too many long story arcs within it, some small ones. Deep Space Nine started out with one where it started a large series story arc with seasonal story arcs built within it. And it was a well-done one, especially when the Dominion War kicks up and then the war with the Klingons. They've really ramped up telling these broad stories that they had to respect canon because everything they were telling was becoming canon in a much larger universe that they had to reference to. They didn't even realize how many future shows beyond that were going to take place. So they took their time to write series episodes that kind of were be able to be looked back upon and go, here's some information about this race. Here's some information about how things are done or how they run the bar. Quarks, now the joke is you see quarks everywhere in the universe. There's one in Academy when they shoot over San Francisco, and right off the pier of San Francisco, there is a quarks right there bar that you can see. So a lot of that take down, but definitely for story arc, I absolutely loved.
Very cool. Very cool. What is one TV show you can watch over and over again?
All these are great, but I have to say Scrubs. One of the
coming back.
I have to put Scrubs in there for that question because it is one of the ones that I can sit down and watch regularly. Now, MASH 2, I can do it. And several of these I can do it with, but I absolutely love Scrubs for the comedy, the special episodes I came across. I mean, there's Friends and all that. When I do have time, honestly, that's my other problem. I don't have a lot of time. I'm kind of busy. But here, when I want to take time for a good laugh, Scrubs is one I love to go back to. It's well worth the watch. I'm super excited. I mean, it'll probably premiere before this comes out, but they're bringing in their next season. They're not even calling a reboot or a new series.
Yep.
It's just the next season of Scrubs. And nearly everybody's coming back for this, which is fantastic because basically the main character's coming back, going to take over as, with the premise, he's taking over as the educator for the new doctors. So basically Dr. Cox is leaving. So he's only there to kind of hand it off
to JD.
To JD and then move on. So, but I guess there's a lot of characters. I mean, they're all still alive, coming back to bring back Kelso. I heard the rumor is Kelso's coming back. He's on the board of directors. Just come back and just berate everybody. It's going to be great. Seeing this 80, 90-year-old guy just berate people.
Well, that's usually what we do.
Absolutely.
Is there one TV show? So questions 17 and 18 are different, but 17 is there one TV show that everyone watches or watched that you just can't get into? And then question 18, answer these separately, obviously. Question 18, are there any TV shows that you regret spending time with? They are two separate questions. They are not the same question because you regretting spending time with is something separate from something that everyone watches or watch that you just can't get into, because if you haven't watched it and everyone else has, that's different. So question 17, is there one TV show that everyone watches or watch that you just can't get into?
They kind of overlap, sir. This does overlap. We're going to go into my rant.
A little bit.
I'll do the first one, really point out Lost. Lost, I cannot like at all. I absolutely hated Lost. The late great Carrie Dykstra would always point out how horrible Lost was, because here's the story writing where the heroes get guns and they run off to the bad guys, and for some stupid reason give the bad guys the guns and then retreat, find more guns, run right back to the bad guys and give them the guns and then retreat again. It was a repetitive storyline that could never build on anything, and they gaping holes just in a moment, the smoke monster, but they will never tell why, or the polar bear. It's one of those shows that I absolutely atrociously hated because it was just terrible writing for me to follow. People loved it. People liked the actors or how they looked or what they did. And no, it wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't the way people would act after surviving a plane crash. And honestly, that many survivors on how much little records was left is amazing, but it wasn't believable. And I couldn't get behind it. And I did. I watched it only because everybody else was watching it. It's so good. I know Keith, the other podcaster for the podcast, he swore by how great it was. And Keith, no, it sucked. It wasn't a good show. It's not rewatchable. You can't plop it in there and watch it and go, this was all right. You can't even do that.
I watched
that show.
I watched like the first 5 episodes of the first season. And after the 5th episode, I'm like, Charlie, dude, go find Bailey and the rest of the family and figure the family shit out. Yeah. Go find your family, man. I'm like, Matthew Fox, what are you doing in this show? Like, really? And I don't even know what other roles, Anthony Quinn, Aiden Quinn, whatever the hell, his name is that's in. Yeah, no, I've never been a Lost fan. I watched the first 5 episodes of the first season, and I think I watched the finale just to make sure it actually ended.
It was like a St. Elsewhere ending too. Like it was all where if everyone doesn't, spoiler alert on some of this, in the St. Elsewhere was pretty much the mind of an autistic kid in a snow globe. So the whole series was fake, and Lost ends the same way. It's like the writers were so stoned, and at the end they became sober and like, what in the world were we trying to tell? I don't know. Well, just ended in a dream. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's other shows that ended terribly. Don't get me wrong. Steinfeld, not a great ending. Terrible. Could have been better. They had a lot of material, but they didn't know what to write, so they gave it an ending. So what was the other one? There was the one that I would, if I tried to separate Lost being the complete disappointment, another one I tried to watch and try to get into. Oh, shit, there was a couple of them, and I'm trying to. Fargo. That was another one. Fargo. I tried to get into it, and I kind of regretted it. I didn't really care for it. It wasn't
that a movie?
Yeah, well, no, there was a TV show called Fargo. It's based upon the movie.
Oh, screw that.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I tried to watch it. It was like, and I guess I can throw another one in there too. Is the Archie's the TV
Riverdale.
Show. Riverdale. There's another one people are trying to get into it, and I was like, no. I regretted wasting time on those episodes. It wasn't well done. And I like Sabrina. I thought that was on a right direction. Again, horrible later seasons because writers had a good premise, and then we wrote everything we wanted to. What do we write now?
Yeah.
Well, I have like 3 more seasons. They suffered the fate of not having the ending ready to go and then worked their way to an ending. They had to start. And book writers, when you write a book, you always get the ending written. and work your way to the ending. But keep it flexible so you don't pigeonhole yourself. And these TV shows just didn't have an ending, so they didn't know how to get to an end point. So those are ones I regret trying to watch because of recommendations, but I just regretted I wasted my time.
Yep. Do you have a physical or digital media collection of TV shows? How large or small is it?
In the day of everything being bought and stored in like Amazon Prime on that, I do have a large collection of VHS tapes and DVDs. I have a lot of, because my son grew up, so I have a lot of Disney with both my son and my daughter, Disney movies on VHS. I have several of them moved over into early stage of DVD. TV series, Stargate SG-1. Haven't got to talk about that much, but beautiful series to watch. Well worth it.
I
have it all on DVD. I got MASH on DVD. And then I got a couple other ones over there, different smaller series that I kind of liked. But those are the two that I have the complete series of because, those are ones I'm just going to watch this disc of episodes. Because you can do that. You can plop it in there, get caught up where they're at, and watch it.
Yep, absolutely. Was there ever a moment where you were like, that's it, I'm done with TV?
Dude, Lost was that moment. Lost was a moment where I had zero faith in TV broadcasting because they hyped everything up in that stupid show and they made it such a great thing and it was just crap. And I was done with TV, but I wasn't watching TV as much. I was doing other things. I streamed a lot of things. I did a lot of online content like YouTube. I watched YouTube series back then when I could because I like the YouTube animators. That's when I was into the Guild, which was all YouTube. And that was phenomenal. I liked watching all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't too much upset as, it was a heartbreak more as I just didn't want to deal with it anymore because it's just garbage.
Yeah.
That was out there. So Lost was one of those big moments that I really just did not care. Now I'm having Faith come back with stuff like the Academy and Landman and The Pit. Granted, they're outside the network broadcast, but still under the umbrella. But they have promise. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more stuff like that.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. What are you already just mentioned everything kind of, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. What are you currently watching right now and what do you think our listeners should check out? You just mentioned Landman and The Pit. What else should people be checking out that you're watching?
Well, and then I said the Academy, Star Trek Academy. But right now we're in the realm where you can watch streaming stuff too, so you can go back and catch a lot of the other stuff. But those are some active things. I've been catching up on a couple episodes of NCIS. I mean, I was a big fan of NCIS back in the day. I did love the show. I love the writing. Mark Harmon did a well job building that storyline. And it's one of the ones that suffered the MASH syndrome, where you lost a lot of main characters, but you're able to bring somebody on to keep the show popular and in the top spot. So,
after 23 seasons, I mean, but
they've been able to keep the storyline still relatively fresh and an overlying story arc still building. So I'll give them that. It's not the best show as it was back in the day, but it does well. Other shows I caught that were more shifting gears. I love Tim Allen. I love the work he does, and I actually enjoy that sitcom right now that's playing because I enjoy watching those. But usually I don't wait for them to come out. I'll let it go a couple episodes and catch them on streaming. George and Mandy's First Wedding, another good anime or comedy. It went back to old style laugh tractor, which I'm not super impressed by. But I do like seeing how they're building out the Big Bang Theory a little bit more in these prequel stuff.
Yeah.
Because right now the next one's coming out, which is Stuart's comic shop.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. The NCIS stuff, man, like, oh God. I need to, first of all, I need to get rich or die trying because I know seriously, okay, fine, it's a joke, but I need to be able to buy all 14 or 15 or however many seasons there are of Los Angeles, because Los Angeles isn't actively streaming anywhere. Like, it's not on CBS, it's not on Paramount. Like, they only have certain seasons of Los Angeles streaming, and I can't find any of the active DVDs anymore. It's not on Blu-ray. It's definitely not on 4K yet. So I know Amazon has, I think they have all the seasons, but that's like $19 a season times 14. I need to find a rich alky to leave me in their will.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Handling Fisk and the RDX comes down to us. You mean us against Fisk, his bodyguards, a crew of neo-Nazis, and the LAPD SWAT team that may or may not be on our side? Gotta love Tuesdays.
Ladies and gentlemen, TF2 and Mike here, breaking into this very old episode of Studio 2009. This is episode 184, The Origins in Television, with my buddy Christopher Moose Morton. As you're listening to this, I just finished up my NCIS Los Angeles discussion here with him. Since this episode was recorded, yes, there is a NCIS LA full complete series DVD set. It's not Blu-ray, it's not 4K, but there is a DVD set. And my good buddy Dave McElveny did gift me the complete series bundle on Fandango. So from July 5th to August 15th of 2026, I have now watched all 14 seasons of NCIS Los Angeles. I love that freaking show. I don't know how many times I will go back and rewatch NCIS Los Angeles, but oh man, watching all 14 seasons in practically a month or so, wow, what a binge watch. Now, back to the show.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Did you just quote the A-Team? You quoted the A-Team.
You boys got a problem with that?
Not at all. Strong choice.
But I love, like, when they did that shift from when they started and introduced Los Angeles, I was like, ooh, O'Donnell and Cool J, let's go. And then I never get into Hawaii, I never get into Sydney, but when they introduced Origins recently, I think Origins on season 2 or season whatever, I'm like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're back, baby. Because have you watched Origins? Please tell me you. Okay, good.
I absolutely have, and I do like it.
Okay, yeah, me too. I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah, no, absolutely. I was there. I never got into JAG. JAG was just not my thing. JAG was at a time in CBS's lineup where I'd rather watch Martial Law or Walker or Nash Bridges. Nash Bridges was my thing, and I just never got into JAG. And
I remember JAG fondly. I loved JAG.
Yeah.
I watched it recently, and it's one of those, God, why did I watch this? This is not.
Yeah.
This is actually really, really bad. But I remember it so fondly.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones I was like shocked about rewatching it. And that should be a question. It's like, what show have you rewatched? And went, oops, I probably shouldn't have liked that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's yeah, maybe I need to add in a rewatch question somewhere or rework one of the questions to be a rewatch question. But yeah, no, I never got into JAG. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're doing this one episode so we can introduce these characters so we can have this new show in the Belisario, the Belisario thing. And Belisario, hello, Airwolf.
Yep.
Duh.
Airwolf, baby.
Why would I? Exactly. Like I used to imagine as a kid, like literally I was sitting on my cousin's swing set in Plimpton, Massachusetts. I used to think I used to see the damn helicopter in the sky. Anyway, but
I had the bottle of that as one of my toys. I love that thing.
Love that thing. Best helicopter ever. Anyway, but in 2003, when they launched NCIS, I was like, ooh, what's this? And I literally had 5 seasons on DVD at the time when DVDs were a thing back then. Oh my God, love NCIS. So good, so good. All right. Anyway, what is your favorite TV show genre? Do you have different types of shows for different situations? Vegging out, date night, family night, group watch, etc.
Attitude and feelings have a big part on what is in run, but sci-fi, and it's more sci-fi experimental. So you're dealing with Twilight Zone, X-Files, Warehouse 13, Eureka, all those kind of shows that Fringe. Those are the ones that are comfort watches for me because they're talking about cool technology, ideas, how to solve them when they go awry. And it was a good balance of those. And those are the ones I like to sit down and rewatch. So that's my comfort zone, is that sci-fi genre.
Absolutely. Do you have a my parents wouldn't let me watch that TV show story?
Absolutely not. I was a kid from Las Vegas, and my parents, there was nothing that they had to worry about. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't torturing squirrels in the backyard. So they weren't really concerned with what I watched. Now, don't take me wrong. There's other people I knew that did have to deal with that. Keith grew up in a Christian household that was a little more stern of what he could and couldn't watch. I mean, he couldn't play D&D, but sorry, Keith, I tell people that, we talked about it on Indie Podcast all the time, but I didn't have that restriction because I didn't propose something that I was bad doing that, or I got my homework done all the time. So it wasn't a big deal.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, folks, we are going to be now entering the TV fantasy funland. If you could own any house or pad in a TV show, whose house would it be?
From Eureka, the sentient house in that show.
Gotcha.
Because that was the house did everything. It was in an old bunker. Yeah, Colin Ferguson's character, Sheriff Jack Carter, in the show, to keep him in town, they gift him this sentient house, has the early models of an AI. And I always thought that was just fantastic. It took care of all my stuff. It took care of all my calendars and the meals. It was just a really cool looking house. And it was always funny because it was actually supposedly a female voice, but done by one of the male characters on the cast, and they made fun of him. Like, is that your voice trying to talk in a female tone? And he's like, no.
No, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
But it was well done. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, that's the house. If I could have a pad, I'd love to have that pad.
Whose wardrobe would you steal?
Oh, wow. That's I would do from Deep Space Nine, Commander Worf. I like the Klingon look. I like the Klingon flair. And take that back. I think same TV show, but Garrett. Cardassian look always had a new flair for it too. But no, I did like the Klingon outfits he would wear more traditionally off his Starfleet uniform. I thought those were pretty cool looking, especially when he came back in Picard. And he was in this like Raider outfit. This Klingon Raider outfit was really cool looking. So I like this. I like this wardrobe. Some thumbs up for Worf.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you keep mentioning flair, and all I can think of is Office Space. You got to wear all the flair.
If we're talking about movies, that's going to be on my list.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's actually funny. I'm working on something for this exact format for that exact thing in the future.
Yeah, we would torture like that 100 shows of all time Indie Podcast did. That was torturous. That movie did make the list. It was up there. But that's a whole different story for another time.
That's a horse of a completely different color. If you could live in any TV verse, which one would you choose?
I would like to live and actually worked in the Babylon 5 universe. The idea of the culmination of everything on a station for like this intergalactic piece intrigued me. I mean, again, they told a great story there. I would not mind being in that universe to being a part of that station. Garibaldi, again, I would be in security. He was fantastic in that show. And I love him because also the town I like to retire to is Garibaldi, Oregon, which is over on the coast by Tillamook. I was laugh because I drive by it and I always think of him from Babylon 5. So I'd like to be in that universe. That universe would be kind of cool to be living in.
Nice, nice. Who would be your top 3 TV characters you'd want to join you to be a friend squad?
A friend squad? Oh. Alan Alden's Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce. Because just he's the ladies' man, and I knew if something happened, he would know how to take care of it. I would do also Henry Deacon, played by Joel Morton from Eureka. Would be a pretty good character to bring in. And I would probably bring in, oh Lord, who would I make as my third? Can we do animated characters?
Yeah, that's fine.
I would probably bring in Allison Brie, who played Diane Nugent, I believe, from BoJack Horseman, because she's like a realist, and she was more, straightforward. She'd be someone to really like poke fun at and to have in the team because she would just point out the most obvious thing.
There you go. Yeah, that's essentially what the old barbershop quartet question is in the other Origins things. But we, when I had Jennifer Kaufman, the first guest, she's the one that helped me craft the format for the Origins and television watching top 3 TV characters in a friend squad. We kind of did the whole, who's your Ross? Who's your Rachel? Who's your blah, blah, blah. So friends, yada, yada, yada. So that's what we did there. Final question here in the TV Fantasy Funland. If you could date any TV character, which one would it be?
Ooh, wow. All right, I would have to go back to Eureka. Dr. Allison Blake played, was it C.L. Richardson? C.L. Richardson? She just was a phenomenal character. I mean, she was a powerful woman, yet she had this very elegant side to her. And she actually understood that, there was boundaries to be made, but there was boundaries to be broken. So, you could really skate the world with her, and it would be great. If I had to date somebody, definitely be her.
Very cool, very cool. There you go. All right, folks, we are now exiting the TV Fantasy Funland. 2 questions left. Is there a storyline or a subject or something you're dying to see in more? Let me do that again. Edit point. Is there a storyline or a subject or something you're dying to see more of on TV?
Absolutely. Another TV show we didn't talk about that was great was, all of a sudden I'm blanking, Men in the High Castle.
Okay.
Alternative history series, when done right, are amazing. The For All Mankind does a great job of it. Men in the High Castle was amazing because, here was an alternative United States. Now, the real U.S. is not gone. It's just in a parallel universe. You're seeing the after effects of a decision being made where it changes everything. There's a book series, which I really think would be great as a TV, 1623, which is about the 60-year war, or a coal mine town in America, and like 90 miles around it is teleported into Germany. And it's dropped in the middle of Germany right at the start of the 30-year war. And they have to deal with that. They're stuck in the past. They don't know how they got there. And you realize it's a cosmic joke by some alien who ended up getting executed for doing this. But they basically go, okay, we need to dumb ourselves down and turn us back into steam power, because we can do that, because we can't do everything. But all their coal on their coal plant, because they're all a bunch of coal miners, is still operational. So they fire this coal plant up, and they repair power lines, and they start defending once they know where they're at, all the towns around them who are getting slaughtered by barbarians. Here comes all these, Highwood redneck pickup trucks and shotguns going killing all these, soldiers on horseback. But they have all these books of history, and they're very important because everyone wants that history, because even though they're there now and the history is going to change, most recent events will not. It's not going to change anything. So a lot of people like the Vatican's trying to get there to get books about who the next pope is, what they're going to do, stuff like that. It's storylines like that I like to see more of. I'd like to see these different aspects of, if we made a major change in history, this would happen. I do like Future, like Expanse, another TV show I haven't talked about, but well built, because it tells a storyline that's realism. You can get into it. It's realistic. So I'd like to see the history, though. I like alternative history. I love podcasts about it. I like to see more on TV shows that dealt with it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, folks. Final question. What is the one piece of advice you would give the TV watching fandom in general?
Do not be afraid to give the time, the money, and the effort to writers that want to get something done. And I mean that more into look at somewhat of YouTube. Animation is a big part of that. And I will give shout out to Vivian Lana with Has-Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, who pushed really hard on the concept she believed in, she created, to get HBO to buy her, or HBO, but Prime, to buy her IPs and pull them over and get full productions. But she put her time and money into creations that were hers, and they were good. There were stories, there were universes that you realize the fans out there loved. And Comic-Cons represent a lot of those fans of these small IPs. Look for the fan base to tell you what might be a good investment to get 1 or 2 episodes out of, and grow from there to give us a new something verse to believe in. It's there. You just got to open your eyes and not let the big buck or big people throw stuff at that just don't have any sense. They do it for no reason. And I'm not going to again make fun of it, but stuff like Lost don't.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Very cool. All right, folks, we're going to head to a quick ad break, and here's some ads from other podcasts and some other stuff. We'll come back to close the show right after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks, every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Are you missing entertainment in your life? Welcome to Captain Ruggles Gaming. Whether it's guides, roleplay content, or our shenanigans with our collaborations with the 20 years standing strong Fart Clan, also known as Fast Action Response Team, or the Wrecking Crew, we have something for everyone. So join us when we traverse the cosmos of space games, survive the undead in zombie games, or just having fun in first-person shooters or random indie games. Visit us now at geekcastradio.com and youtube.com/@Captain Ruggles, or Google search Captain Ruggles Gaming. It's game time, and I'll see you out on the battlefield.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes or geekcastradio.com.
Yo, Joe, and welcome to the Cracktastic Plastic Podcast, where a punk rock band of brothers get together to talk about one of our shared loves, toy collecting.
Toy hunt by day, punk rock band by night. We'll take any excuse to get in the van.
We all collect different toy lines like those real American heroes. G.I. Joe! To the toys that are more than meets the eye. Transformers.
To He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
From vintage to modern and all topics in between, you can always expect some rowdy and passionate discussion because we love talking toys here on the Cracktastic Plastic Podcast.
What's up, folks? My name is Mike, and I am the host of the Mike Seibert Radio Podcast, your favorite Transformers adjacent podcast, and I've got 60 seconds to tell you all about my show. Good thing I've got a catchy theme song to do most of the work for me.
Mike Seibert Radio, we talk about stuff and things, lots of guests in-depth interviewing. Mike Seibert Radio, it's nobody's favorite show. Movies, comics, video games, and TV.
I also talk about the Transformers the movie about as much as I talk about Boba Fett. My guests are independent artists who tell their stories and give terrific advice about pursuing your creative interests, and I encourage you to do the same thing, even if I can't take my own advice. Brevity is not my first best strength, but you could subscribe to Mike Seibert Radio on most podcast apps so you never miss an episode. Make good choices.
It's time for Mike Seibert Radio.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk.
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing.
Download this show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
All right, folks, we are back here inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. Mr. Christopher Morton, sir, you got anything you want to promote?
Oh, sorry, that's from our Klingon audience out there. But no, not really. Honestly, with the die down on most of the podcasts I've been dealing with, I haven't been very productive with my artwork and with all that. That is changing. I'm hoping to get more involved with different shows and assist other people in promoting their work, being the backup. So I only recommend to people look for the small content creators on YouTube or any of those other platforms and promote them, talk to them, look for graphic novelists. Honestly, there's a show I like to do is more unknown graphic novels that are still in the early infancy, and that can be something big with enough following.
Very cool, very cool. All right, TV fans, as always, we want to thank you for joining us here inside Studio 2009. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Plus, now we have a brand new Fourth Wall store where you can buy all of our merch. You can visit shop.geekcastradio.com. You can send any email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can check us out on all the podcatching clients you choose to use. I prefer Spotify, but that's just me. We're on Twitter. You can find us on that platform over there as well. We still call it Twitter here because calling it a letter is stupid.
Amen.
Exactly. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/geekcastradio network. You can join us next time when we will be discussing the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. We discussed this a year ago with myself and my good buddy Dave. So everyone has heard Dave before. He does our Star Wars stuff with me. For now, I am TF2 and Mike with
the one and only Christopher Morton of the West Coast.
Thank you for listening, and you'll hear us back in the studio soon.
Bum.